Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Chris Kuhn from State Drugs. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I got word of you from Chuck Coffey at Slappy Little Numbers, and I have your record over here. We're gonna do a video for a promo. Um, I really like it. Um, the variety of punk rock, it doesn't kind of, you don't have one specific sound, which I think is awesome. Do you want to talk about how you guys got together and your sound in particular?
Sure. Yeah. Basically, the bass player and I of State Drugs, Tom, started State Drugs like 5 years ago. And it's just kind of, we had a couple member changes and then just found Matt and AJ, and it's just been a blast. And we just, you know, like a lot of different things, all sorts of different musics, which I think help with making our songs sound interesting. And Denver is a really cool city for doing a band like State Drugs, and we're just like any band in general. It's just really super supportive of other bands, which I think helps out a lot and just making you want to do it. And just having a community like that's been really nice. And Chuck is the man. He's like a diamond in the rough music fan for every music scene in America needs. He's the best. But anyway, yes, kind of how we met. Just jamming, playing some shows, meeting up with some other bands, and just kind of just going to shows and being a part of the community. Just run into people, and sometimes you can make music with those people, and they become really good friends.
Awesome. So being in Denver, they have being near Denver, you have quite a lot going on there. Like you said, you get out and you meet people. Eventually, you play music with them. Uh, if something sparks that. Um, but being a part of the community is important, I think, to a lot of people. Uh, how do you what can you say to emphasize that?
Like just going to shows, seeing bands that are touring, usually local bands that are into punk, basically. I'm just doing an umbrella term, DIY punk music. They'll open for those bands. I mean, just since to support them, go to shows, go early, see all the bands that are opening, and then just have a couple drinks, get a little lit, make friends with people. Like, a lot of the world's a nice place if you let it be nice. And then you just hang out. If you can book a show, book a show. I mean, it depends on energy level for that. I've tried to book a couple shows, and that's a lot of their pains in the butt sometimes, but it's good. Get people together, get bands together, get bands to play out. And if your friends in a band and they release music, throw them, buy one of their Bandcamp records. Text your friend from high school who's still doing bands that it's cool. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Um, so I want to talk about your band a little bit. What would you say if somebody hadn't heard your band and you're at a show and you're talking to them? How would you describe your band?
Usually I'll try to sell it like Jawbreaker meets Gym Blossoms, or just something around like a punker version of the Gym Blossoms. But that was what I wanted to like, or like Gym Blossoms and the Replacements. It was my aim when I first started writing stuff for State Drugs. But now, just say like alternative rock, indie alternative rock music now is what I kind of feel like it is. But yeah, I mean, something like punk mixed with like late 90s, early 2000s, like radio hits like Goo Goo Dolls or something like.
It's very bright and upbeat, which I like. Is that the kind of perspective that you bring out in your lyrics?
When I write lyrics, like Live, Laugh, Love is basically like a bunch of songs where I just write myself cheer myself up letters to myself. And like what I just want someone to tell me at a certain point when I'm having a really annoying day. But I don't know. Sometimes I write lyrics when I'm like super bitter and just like in a really terrible mood, but it works. So I think like State Drugs is kind of like yin and yang, where it's like about being super bitter and just super burnt down on certain things in life, and then just reminding yourself that, hey, this, you're only human. This feeling will pass. You got to stay positive and you got to fight for yourself. So I mean, just sitting around being a bum and feeling bad for yourself goes so long. So that's what I try to tell myself in these songs. And I guess what I want, like, someone to say to me, just call me up and be like, hey man, it'll be cool. You're good enough. You're good enough, man. It's cool. And like, just chill. But so that's kind of the vibe of State Drugs lyrically.
Cool, cool. Um, now that we touring is not really an option at the present moment, what have you been working on? Have you been working on new music? Are you working on promoting something?
Well, the old State Drugs team, we've been tracking a bunch of stuff throughout the pandemic. And I mean, we just kind of like I feel like all of us are just kind of like, yeah, let's just like write some songs and track them at our house and then just see how we can make them sound. And it's been cool. We have like probably like two EPs worth of stuff being mixed right now. And then I mean, for just trying to play shows around Denver, like Colorado. I'm open. I just had my second kid, so I'm kind of homebound for a while when it comes to touring. But I mean, if I oh, thanks. If I can make, if I could bring my kids to like a weekend and wherever and make it an affordable vacation, just play a show on a weekend somewhere, I'm open to it. But I'm just trying to be realistic and flexible, like everybody else in 2021 so far.
Yeah. So tell me about your relation with Chuck Coffey. Like you said, he's a big part of the scene, and I want to know what your connection is and how you fit into all that.
Well, so I moved.
Oh, you froze up there for a sec.
Is this better?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So I was involved in DIY punk stuff in Baltimore, Maryland, where I grew up, and not grew up, where I lived like 10 years. And so I was just, looking to make friends, and I'm like, all right, let's see what the local punk scene's like in Denver. And then just did some digging around on social media, did a little lurking, and just noticed that like Snappy Little Numbers bands were always playing. All these shows I would go to, like every band that opened like had a record that was released by Snappy Little Numbers, and I was like, man, I should check out that label. So I checked them out, and then when I eventually, met up with some of the founding members of State Drugs, we like got a couple demos recorded, and I was trying to, just get my band out there, play some shows. So I mailed some of my band's demos to them. I was like, hey man, like I'm in this band, we're about got like an album's worth of songs. Maybe you want to check them out. We can work together, put them out, and just try to like make new friends. And dude, he hit me up. Like he was down. He was like super responsive, which is so unusual. People making friends over 30 is such a pain in the ass. Okay, so like, and he was like super chill and like welcoming and nice and just like a breath of fresh air. And it's just the coolest dude's become a good bud, good friend, and just he works his ass off. The dude, like he's a hustler, which I like so respect. Like, and anyway, he's just a rad dude, man. He's like so motivated and like just makes me like it makes me like feel like I'm such a bump on a log. I'm like, man, Chuck's is out there doing all that shit, and I'm just like, it's like 10 p.m. Got all my kids to sleep, and I'm like done work. I'm like, I'm gonna smoke some weed and then watch Netflix. I'm just like, anyway, he's the best, and he's been so supportive. We released our first record with Takings and Leavings, and that was a blast. We did that with another label as well, Toxic Pop, and that was cool. And then just kept on playing music. Like, we played some shows with his bands, and the shows were so fun, dude. And it's anyway, Chuck Coffey. If I had a third arm, he'd get 3 thumbs up, dude.
did you move to Denver because the music scene attracted you?
No, I moved for work. I like just was kind
Uh,
of, my wife and I were just kind of like burnt out, and I got a job. I got a job transfer. This is one of those things where you're like, God, man, Baltimore, what a place, what a place. And then I just applied to a job on a whim in Denver, and yeah, I got it. It was wild. And then my wife and I were like, let's just try it out. We'll move there for like a year or two, just chill. We rented out our house in Baltimore and just fell in love with just everything about Denver and Colorado. And the music scene is like so alive and throughout, like just compared to where I was coming from, which is like I felt like in Baltimore, like the generation of music, local music scene I was involved in, kind of moved on. Like it's this weird over like 3 years, everyone either like went to grad school far away or just like had enough and bailed. So it was just like it's just nice to like be like, like stuff that I'm into, other people are still into it. And it's not like I'm not like a dinosaur. It's like I remember when there used to be a cool show. Anyway, so there's still cool shows in Denver. Like and before the pandemic, it was awesome. It was so many good bands.
cool, cool. I know through Chuck, I got a message from Green Noise, and he mentioned you guys as well. He said you were one of the interesting bands that he has in his shop. Um, so I was totally stoked to talk to you guys, and I want people to know how to connect with you, how to contact you, and hear your music.
I'm pretty. I think Instagram or our email address, stagedrugs@gmail. It's like probably the best. Um, I'm not really a Facebook guy, but Facebook would be my like the fourth option of emailing me. But yeah, just reach out. I like talking to people. If it's not obvious, it's gabbing away over here.
so
And
so you grew up in Baltimore. What was the scene like before everybody moved on in comparison to Denver?
oh wow, what an interesting question. Let's see. So like in Baltimore, there was this DIY punk collective called Charm City Art Space. So like, and it would just be a bunch of random people that got together, put in a couple, but like put in like $50 for a membership for the year, paid the rent of the place that the shows paid for. It just was a brilliant, well thought out, uh, well executed plan that lasted like 10 years. And I just felt like I was probably when I was like 17 to like 28, I was going to shows there. And yeah, just so many cool bands. And that's what I think I like. I like so many different types of music. Like, yeah, I love like all the stage rock stuff, like like Gin Blossoms and Jawbreaker and Replacements, and but I also like, because of Charm City Art Space, I was like seeing cool bands. Like I saw like the Cro-Mags there. Like I saw the John Joseph Cro-Mags, not the Harley
Oh
Cro-Mags.
yeah,
I saw like, I saw Modern Life is War in a basement. My band played with, open for, and it was literally, the basement was like maybe could fit 35, 40 people tops, like legally. It was always like stuff with like 200 people, dude. It was like insane, and just
yeah.
and so like I think that was like really cool. And there's only a couple venues that had shows in Baltimore. In Denver right now, it's like, there's like, I've been to like, I don't know, maybe like 6, 7 different venues like regularly for different shows, which I feel like there's more venues in Denver than there are in Baltimore. And and there is a DIY community in Denver as well. There's this collective called Seventh Circle that's like reminds me of Charm City Art Space a whole lot, which is really cool. And I've been to some really cool shows there. I saw this like screamo hardcore band from France at Seventh Circle that was so cool. And I was like, they played like 20 people. It was their last day of a tour. 2-month tour, and then the next time I saw this band, they opened for Neurosis at this like 500-person show. So I mean, that's what I liked about the DIY like punk collectives. It's just I'm not sure that answers your question, but there's more venues, more people booking shows currently in Denver than there was in Baltimore. But I think there was a lot of people booking shows in Baltimore in my heyday there, but less venues. So that's my answer.
All right, cool. You ever venture down into DC? And if so, how did that strike you?
Oh man, let me tell you, as a Marylander, you hate DC your whole life. It's just like it's something in the air. It's like, yo, F DC. But my brother moved there like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I guess like within the last like 7 years, I've grown quite fond of DC. I've been to DC a bunch. There's a lot of really cool shows because a lot of shows would be in DC as opposed to Baltimore growing up. And like, oh man, I saw Pearl Jam there once, like 10 years ago. It made me a believer, dude. I was never like into Pearl Jam, but now I'm into Pearl Jam because of their show in DC.
Nice.
But yeah, DC's cool. A lot of, like going to shows like Ian McKay's at one of the shows, you're like, oh shit. Like it's just cool. But yeah, I like DC a lot now.
Very cool. Very cool. When you guys go out on tour, what is the most likely place that people are going to find you going?
Probably along I-25. I mean, if we ever like get it together, we were talking about getting it together to do a Baltimore, DC, Pennsylvania circuit right before the pandemic hit. I had a couple of dates in line and stuff, and but like I said, it'd probably just be weekends at this point because A, we're in a pandemic. B, I have a 7-day-old baby inside with a 2.5-year-old maniac currently napping. So, but I mean, we played Colorado Springs, which is like an hour and a half south. Not even an hour and a half, hours south. I've played in other bands in like Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm down to play wherever if it's possible and reasonable. But maybe we go to the East Coast. Like, I mean, I'm sure I would love to do some East Coast shows or West Coast shows. I'm open, but probably the soonest you'll see us is along I-25.
Nice. What about Fort Collins?
That's off I-25. I can make that up. That's the strip. I love Fort Collins. It's a chill city.
Yeah, it's got quite a scene there from what I've heard from the All Guys.
Dude, yeah. Dude, the All Guys like are do they not live in Fort Collins, do they? Blasting rooms in Fort Collins, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, the shows I have seen in Fort Collins was really cool. I saw Iron Sheik play Surfside Lounge. I think it's what it's called, Surfside. And man, it was like 50 people there. It was so cool. And I went and saw them the night before in Denver, and there was like 200 people. It was just like I like the small intimate shows with bands that I'm really into. I'm like, hell yeah.
Awesome.
If I could live in Fort Collins, I would live in Fort Collins, but I don't think I can move anywhere yet.
Little far from work.
That's the thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure, what your job situation is, but like, I feel like with my wife and I, it's been a year of, so are they going to let us like go full-time telework?
Yeah.
Because if that's so, we're probably going to like move north and kind of get a bigger place a little farther away from the city. But we're just waiting. I feel like everyone's just kind of hanging out. Like, are we allowed to full-time telework forever? But who knows? I mean, we could discuss the possible outcome of the pandemic on work mentalities all afternoon. So curious if it's really going to change the face of work as we know it for a while. But anyway, that's another subject.
Yeah, it changes every day.
Yeah, it's a wild time. It's a wild, unwild time for me.
So where are the other guys? Are the other guys in the same town as you?
Uh, well, when I started State Drugs, I lived in Denver proper, and yeah, everybody lived in Denver. Um, I think everyone's still in the Denver metro area. I think half the band lives in Denver, and then Tom lives in Littleton. I'm sure he's not like I said that, but anyway, so yeah, we live around. I mean, I think I live like 25 minutes away from Tom, and about like 18 minutes probably from everybody else.
Oh, cool. Cool. It's I guess it when the pandemic is gotten under control, it'll be easier for you guys to get to work right away on your music.
I mean, I don't really think we slow. I mean, we haven't slowed down really on recording. I feel like we've been pretty productive. I mean, since the pandemic. Okay, so last year, pandemic hits. We just played a record release show. I think today. I think a year ago for Takings and Leavings at this bar. And then everything shut down, and our drummer was like his job was kind of shut down for a while. So he was in the service industry, and he was just like, "Yo, bros, my lease is up." So he just moved back to Louisiana for like 8 months, and then so then we're on lockdown, and I just had my wife was pregnant, and I was like, dudes, like we gotta like try to churn out some record some songs to stock up for the future, because I'm gonna be kind of overwhelmed for a minute, because it's like my wife and I are both teleworking full time, with like two little kids and no daycare. We're making it work,
Yeah.
but it's like a really busy time, and so we just we talked to our buddy, our drummer. We're like, "Yo, bro, we're gonna track with this other drummer just for this. Whenever you come back, you're still in the band. It's just I'm trying to get this going before my kid." And our friend Lauren from this band Broken Record around here, she plays guitar and sings Broken Record. She's an amazing drummer, so she filled in, and we just sent files to each other over the internet and just worked on stuff. And then me, Tom, and Matt, we were still like, I guess they're kind of in my bubble, in pandemic terms. Like they both like telework, not, they're just homebound, low exposure risk. So, go over to Matt or Tom's. They both have like home studio gear and stuff, and we work on stuff and track vocals. And then I went to Lauren's and solo. She is like a home studio whiz too, and so me and her just tracked the songs over there, just and then got those tracks, and then we just been sending them back and forth, and Lauren's mixing them. They're coming out really good. I think we had 4 or 5 songs we tracked with her, and then our drummer moved back, and we tracked I think like 4 or 5 more songs with him in their basement, and then I think we have we're talking about plans for something, but we have to start writing it. And so yeah, I mean we're still trudge, doggy paddling along.
That's
So we're not practice all the time, but we go to this big practice. We rent a room, this huge room to practice in once a month too.
I love to hear that people use the time that we had during the pandemic to be productive. That gives me hope that punk rock and things like DIY are still trudging along.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm hoping to too. I'm kind of anticipating every band we like to have like a billion records once the world is reopened, dude. And oh man,
I was just
like
I was just talking to Haley from Haley and the Crushers, and I was saying that I think when everything opens up, you're just going to see double the amount of people out. People are going to go crazy just to get out because we've taken for granted. Oh, I can go to that show whenever. Or maybe I'll catch them next time.
yeah,
But I think people are going to come out in mass.
I have a buddy who was saying the same thing, and he was comparing it to the Roaring 20s. because like the 1918 plague, and then I think like World War I was going on. I think I could be wrong. Totally, I'm totally guessing that part. But when it all came to an end, man, everyone was ready to party, and but who knows? You know what? I'm rooting for humanity at this point, dude. I'm like, I'm like, something's got to give. Hopefully things get awesome again, dude, and we have this great renaissance of like cultural awareness, and like healthcare is nationalized and education's made a national priority, and there's tons of shows. But I yeah, dude, I miss going to shows. I'm like a busybody, and I like am never a home. I'm the exact opposite of a homebody, and my wife is a homebody, and like we're like yin and yang, and then I have my daughter, amazing experience, which is like slowly got me to stop being a busybody, but I still love to go. I love going out like to a show once a week and like just by myself and running it, and I can miss that so much, man. These virtual shows, like I just feel like they're cool, but they're not the same.
You can't talk to people.
Yeah, you can't talk to people. And you know what? With virtual shows, we're gonna have a lot less terrible shows from bands we like. Like that band you like, and sometimes they have an off night.
Yeah.
And like you're like JFC, what am I doing here? But anyway, we're gonna have a lot less of those, which I think, looking back, I would even take that. Watching somebody bomb. I would just love to just go somewhere and watch somebody bomb and have it be awkward and be the only person in the room and afraid to leave. Anyway, I'm missing going out, man. I'm missing going to museums and stuff, and like,
Yeah.
oh man. Yeah, like did you like go to any big like stadium concerts? Did you have tickets to any of those in the last year that got canceled?
No, I didn't, but I worked I work in the Wells Fargo Center in Philly, and occasionally I like to get tickets to go see the Sixers or Flyers. And I had tickets
That
for
would have been cool.
I had tickets for the Flyers, and it fell through. And I don't get to go very often.
Dude, yeah. Like I just remembered that I bought my mom tickets. I was going to take my mom to Pepsi Center over here in Denver, and and to see, what the hell are they called? Maroon 5, dude. And it
Oh,
was like $4, and my mom was like over the moon. It was these nosebleed seats, and it got canceled, and it got postponed to June. And then she's like, "Dude, I am not going to a stadium show in June. This pandemic going around." And I was like, "Oh," and then it got canceled, and I totally forgot to follow up with Ticketmaster about my credit. I have to remember to do that today.
wow.
Maroon
Yeah.
5 sucks, dude. I don't know if you've ever heard that band. My mom's been like tripping on them for a while, and I finally checked them out. It's terrible, dude.
It is awful. But
Like that dude Adam Levine was an American Horror Story. That's the only reason why I recognize. I'm like, oh, it's an American Horror Story, dude. But yeah, so I got out of that.
they were a band before they added the fifth guy. They were a band called Cares Flowers.
Okay.
Look that up.
Were
They,
they? Did
they
they still?
sounded like Weezer.
Oh, I like Weezer. I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
it's
sure those dudes are like gazillionaires at this point, and are like,
yeah,
dude, look, we just fart in a microphone and getting millions of dollars. I mean, hey, dude, more power to them. I mean, just like God. So that would have been. I'm kind of glad pandemic came in handy for canceling Maroon 5.
I almost went
Uh,
one time with my wife.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was it what happened? Was it did not they cancel or
No, I kind of talked my way out of
hell yeah?
it. But I think the alternative was Pat Benatar. So that was cool.
See, sometimes those are pandemic wins, which no one ever talks about. Maybe we should start posting. Maybe we should talk about pandemic wins.
Yeah, nice.
PFTW, pandemic, fuck the world. Just, but yeah, but that's so like so is there a scene in Pottsville, or do you just go to Philly for shows?
It's basically Philly. There's some out in Lancaster. I don't know if you know Lancaster at all.
I've played in Lancaster. I played a show at the Chameleon Club last year,
Yeah,
and
they have good bands there.
dude, it's crazy. It shut down.
Well, they moved.
Oh, I heard they shut down. Okay, so they're
They,
not in that big triple floor space anymore.
no, no. That was the last show I was to. I went to see Don't Sleep. It's Dave Smalley's band. Um,
Cool.
I went to see them there, and then the pandemic hit, and then a couple months later they said they were shutting down, but they were going to be reopening somewhere else.
Well, that spot was amazing because I went there for the first time in like 2011, and then I used to go there in high school for it was an Angry Young and Poor. It was like the punk store, I
Uh-huh.
think, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and yeah, man. But I think the first show I saw there was the Get Up Kids, Restorations, and Puff. Oh my god, dude! Puff opened up, and I never heard of them, and dude, what a trajectory Puff took, man. Wow.
I love those
Puff
guys.
won, dude. Yeah, they're so good. But it's just funny because I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, this band's pretty cool. Like, I'm gonna get a beer and like just. But and I thought they were from Portland. And that's where I was like, damn, they're from Canada. I was wrong. I was wrong AF. But yeah, dude, that is a cool spot. I like Lancaster.
they
And Philly's cool.
I don't know if you know this, but the local access station in Philadelphia used to broadcast all the shows from the Chameleon on the
Oh,
week
cool.
on the weekends. They'd send a camera out there and they play the shows from all weekend live, and then you could go back
That's
and
all.
demand. That was in the '90s, but if you, I mean, that was kind of far from Philly, and I was in college. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good idea.
Yeah. That's not, they probably don't do that anymore, I bet.
No,
But, or maybe they to fill some air. Who knows? I don't know how that stuff works. But that sounds awesome. Yeah, I think when I saw the Get Up Kids play there, they were like, "Man, we played here 20 years ago," and the lineup they said that they played with was like at the drive-in and Refused, and I was just like, "What a weird, awesome show!" But I don't think you don't get that many weird, awesome shows like that anymore. But yeah, man, I think Philly, is the Trocadero still open?
no, that closed.
Oh, damn.
I
I
saw,
went. I snuck out. Who'd you see?
I went to see Henry Rollins' slideshow, and then like a couple months later, it was closed.
I remember the first time I ever snuck away from home to go to a show. I was 16 years old, and we drove. I lived in like northern eastern Maryland, and we snuck out. We drove to the Trocadero to see Good Riddance, Anti Flag, and oh god, who else? Good Riddance, Anti Flag, Strike Anywhere,
That's a good show.
and for Changes of Sound tour. And oh my god, dude, it was so cool. And that venue was, I remember it was like the biggest deal to me because I was like, wow, I'm like snuck out. I'm in a different state, a different city. Oh man, I'm drinking. And it was the coolest show. And that venue was really cool. It was like super old, like
Yeah,
100 years old, right? Or like
yeah.
over 100 years old. That sucks. That's a bummer. It shut down. And then First Unitarian Church was a pretty cool spot.
I think, well, they were before the pandemic. They were still doing stuff.
Oh, were they? I felt like every other, like for the last 10 years, I kept on hearing stuff like they were going to stop. But I
Yeah,
felt like it was like multiple times. Like, this is it. This is really the time we're going to stop.
This time I mean it.
Okay, no. This is really it. But that's just from an outsider's perspective.
It's funny that with all the venues in Philadelphia, how the First Unitarian Church always kind of it gets mentioned, but it's such a small place.
I know. I saw a lot, like a bunch of shows there, man. I loved going to shows there. I thought it was really cool. I think I don't remember the last show I went there. I remember I saw one of the Kid Dynamite reunion shows there in 2003. That was wild, dude. And yeah, I saw the Ergs there, I think, and Loved Ones there, Painted Black. But I can't. Yeah. Anyway, I love that. I love Philly. Philly was always a really cool place, and there's still a good music scene in Philly. I mean, it's still a hardcore scene there, and a lot of really cool punk bands and indie rock bands. Is Lamo Records from Philadelphia?
That I don't. That one I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, Philly's awesome.
Cool, man.
The show, it's always Philadelphia.
Awesome. I was so glad to get to talk to you. And I thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you're busy. And I want to wish you the best. And hopefully when your new EPs come out, we can talk again.
Sure, man. This has been a blast, dude.
Awesome. It's always fun to talk about people's different scenes that they've been to, and you've been to quite a few you've been involved in. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Thanks. Yeah, dude. I mean, people are people. People like music, man. And, everyone's a fan. They could be buds. So a lot of music scenes are a lot alike, but like they just look different sometimes.
Yeah. All right, man. Have a good day.
You too, man. Take care, dude.